In this video, we're gonna study the general steps needed for the critical thinking process. And actually, we have three general steps. The first step is description. The second step is analysis. The third step is evaluation. And when it comes to the description step, we aim to collect data and information that is necessary to identify or know the problem or the situation we face up to. And in the analysis step, we try to analyze the information or the data collected about the situation or about the problem in order to find solutions or solutions for the problem or approaches to the situation. And in the evaluation step, we evaluate different solutions for the problem or different approaches to a situation in order to apply one or more of them. A famous example for these steps in the critical thinking process is what happens in a pharmaceutical company when one of its products loses its market share to a competitor. So, in this pharmaceutical company, they will try first, they will try to describe the problem. In that sense, they will collect every piece of information or all the data that is relevant to this problem or this situation in order to identify or deeply know this problem or this situation. Then they will try to analyze the data or the information collected about the problem or the situation. And in that sense, they try to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of the company's product and try to figure out the opportunities and threats in the market which is related either to the competitor or related to other products in the market. This analysis will happen in pursuit of finding the best ways with which they use the strengths to mitigate threats and to make advantage of opportunities, and at the same time the best ways to improve the weaknesses to become strengths, and they use these strengths to also make advantage of the opportunities in the market and to mitigate threats in the market. After that, they are going to evaluate different approaches or different solutions they came up with and select the best solutions or the most suitable approaches to tackle this situation and solve this problem effectively. This is just one example of using critical thinking steps to apply or practice the process of critical thinking. Now, let's try to shed light on the step of description. And in the description step, we have to be able to ask questions. And not only one type of questions, we have to be able to ask different kind of questions. And this is because we want to collect the data or information about the problem or the situation. We have to identify the problem and situation, so we ask different kind of questions. The first kind of questions that we usually use is the WH question. And the WH question may start with who, what, or where, when, how, or why. For example, when I ask you, what kind of coffee do you love? What kind of coffee do you love? This is a WH question. Another type of questions is the yes or no question. For example, when I ask you, do you love drinking Turkish coffee? Do you love drinking Turkish coffee? This is a yes or no question. A third type of questions is the choice question. For example, when I ask you, do you love drinking Turkish coffee or American coffee? This is a choice question. So using different kind of questions is useful to collect information and gather whatever is possible to identify your problem or the problem you face up to. This is very important to describe the problem or identify the problem. And in addition to this, we have to utilize the research and investigation skills. We have to investigate the information we collect. We have to investigate them by using observation skills and verification skills. So we use two kind of skills in the investigation or in the research during description step. So we use observation skills, and in observation skills, we use our senses. We use our senses to identify the qualities or the characteristics of things and phenomena related to the problem or the situation, so we are more able to identify the reasons. And by using verification skills, we check the authenticity of information. By this we mean how true the information is. And also, we can make sure of the reliability of the sources of information. So we can make sure how truthful the sources of information are. Okay, so we have in the description step, we have to utilize two kind of skills. The first kind of skill is the skill of asking questions, and we have to master asking different kind of questions, like for example WH questions, yes or no questions, and choice questions. In addition to this, we have to master and utilize skills of research and investigation. So we want to investigate information. Investigating information is very necessary before we analyze them, before we analyze information. So we have to utilize observation skills and verification skills. By using observation skills, we are able to use our senses to identify the qualities or the characteristics of things and phenomena related to the problem or the situation we face up to, so we are more able to identify the reasons. Also, we need to utilize some verification skills in order to make sure and check the authenticity of the information we collect, and also we check the reliability of the sources of information. Now, let's focus on the step of analysis. And when it comes to the analysis of information, we have to acquire or develop two groups of skills. The first group is the skill we need to identify flaws flaws in information. And the second group of skills is the skills we need to identify the relationship between different pieces of information being analyzed. First, the skills we need to identify flaws in information. And by this, we mean that first, we have to be able to distinguish between facts and opinions. For example, if I told you that TVs are more entertaining than a PlayStation, is this an opinion or a fact? This is an opinion. But if I told you that TVs were invented years ago, is this a fact or an opinion? This is a fact. Okay. Second, we have to be able to identify biases. And by this we mean to some people give opinions based on what they like or what they dislike. For example, during analyzing information, you may find an opinion coming for someone, and he or she expresses him or herself considering or regarding a topic. For example, their opinion about driving luxurious cars, and they say that if the luxurious car is being driven by someone they like, so that's okay and fine for them. And if the luxurious car is being driven by someone that they dislike, that's not fine with them. Okay, so we have to make sure that we are able to identify biases in the information that we analyze. Okay. Also, we have to be able to identify misinformation, because some information are half right and half wrong. And when the whole piece of information is half right and half wrong, it means the whole piece of information is wrong. For example, if someone told you that a hurricane is happening right now in a certain city in the United States, but you figured out that this city, that the hurricane isn't happening in this city, and it is happening in a different city. So the original piece of information is half right, because the hurricane is happening right now. That's okay, that's right. But the place of the hurricane is incorrect. So the whole piece of information is incorrect. Okay, so this is misinformation. We have to make sure that we can identify the misinformation while we analyze information. Also, we should be able to find discrepancies in information we analyze. For example, if you ask someone, where were you at a certain point of time, and he told you he was in a certain place, then you asked him the same question, okay, for the second time, and he told you that he was in a different place. So this is discrepancy. You have to be able to spot discrepancies when you analyze information. Okay. The last skill among the skills we need to identify flaws in information is to be able to identify the relevance of information to the problem or the situation being analyzed. Because some people may give you information that is not related to the situation or the problem being analyzed. For example, when someone tells you how many kids a truck driver has, okay, which is not related to a problem or a situation in which you investigate the capabilities or the competence of the driver or the truck driver when he drives his truck. So it has no relevance here. So you have to make sure of the relevance of information to the problem or the situation being analyzed. Okay, in that sense, we have 5 skills related to identifying flaws in information. First, we have to be able to distinguish between facts and opinions. Second, we have to spot biases, or we have to be able to identify biases. Third, we have to be able to identify misinformation. Fourth, we have to be able to spot discrepancies. 5, we have to be able to identify the relevance of information to the problem or the situation being analyzed.